Rum. Some people call it the pirate's drink, while others call it Kill Devil. But where did this popular alcoholic beverage come from, and how did it drive the economy of a small island in the Caribbean? The story of rum is the story of sugarcane. In the early 17th century, sugarcane was brought to the Caribbean from Brazil by the Dutch. At the time, the main crops in the Caribbean were tobacco and cotton, but these were not doing well, and an alternative was urgently needed.
When one takes a look at a historical record, rum is being talked about from as early as the 1630s, but it's being described by a different name. It's being called Kill Devil or Hot Waters. You have descriptions of persons beginning to produce an alcoholic beverage from sugarcane using molasses. That's very important in terms of the English-speaking Caribbean.
Dutch brought the sugarcane from Brazil, but they also brought the knowledge of distilling. There's a lot of knowledge of fermentation of different products in West Africa, and certainly some of that knowledge came to Barbados. The earliest record of rum making we have from Ligon, published in 1673. He referred to rum as Kill Devil. We do have in Barbados a record linking the word Kill Devil to rumbullion. We suspect that the word rumbullion came from a combination of rumbustious, in other words, the effects of drinking rum, and of course the value of rum at this time. And then of course we reckon rum is a shortened version of rumbullion. The rum industry flourished because the sugar industry flourished. The sugar industry in Barbados was absolutely spectacularly successful, and so as the sugar industry grew, the rum industry grew with it as well.
By the late 17th century into the middle of the 18th century, Barbados is producing a lot of rum for export, but the export market is not England. The export market is America. Perhaps the best way to anecdotally state the importance of that is that when George Washington becomes the first president of the United States, he orders barrels of Barbados rum to celebrate his inauguration. Having come to live in Barbados in the 1750s, around 1754. Unfortunately, the American Civil War almost sounds a death knell to rum production in Barbados, because by that time we were producing so much rum and sending it to one market, is that when that market shuts its door to our rum production, we're in trouble. By that time, the English market had grown accustomed to Jamaican rum, which has a totally different taste, and it took some time for the Barbados rum production to recover.
Alcohol became popular worldwide, and in many cases, drunkenness was commonplace. In response to this in 1920, the American government banned the manufacture, importation, retail, and transportation of alcohol. This was called Prohibition, and ironically, it caused an increase in the exportation of Barbadian rum.
Our exports are very, very small before Prohibition. And then from about 1920 to 1922 or 23, they explode. We go from 4,000 gallons to 150,000 gallons. And it's all recorded as export to the Bahamas, because that's where it goes and that's where the rum runners pick it up. And the one famous one, of course, was Bill McCoy. So he'd pick up Barbados rum in the Bahamas and take it over to America. The funny thing is then when Prohibition is relapsed, our exports actually grow a bit. And so in this great sort of irony, Prohibition once again introduces Americans back to Barbados rum.
As time passed, rum became more popular, with distilleries making and bottling their own rum. At the turn of the 19th century, legislation was passed prohibiting distillers from bottling their own rum and forcing them to sell in bulk. Wholesale traders in Bridgetown would now have to bottle their own rum, and they created their own distinct brands.
There was a proliferation of these independent bottlers, and many of these names still survive today, one of which, of course, is R.L. Seal, but there were many other names, the S.A. Field, which people know today, Ali Natha. All of these were original independent bottlers, Martin Dorley. We were in the wholesale business, but like any other commodity trader, we would have traded rum, and we put it under our name.
With companies like R.L. Seal, Hanchelinus and Mungay, the production of rum in Barbados is steeped in history. But in the year 2010, a new player stepped into the market.
We started producing rum because we wanted to preserve the heritage of the Abbey and the only way to do that was to have something that tourists really wanted. Our rum is the only single barrel rum in Barbados. We take it straight from the fields, we cut it by hand, we feed it through our steam engine, and we produce our syrup, and then we produce our rum. And it's a true, authentic Bajan rum, straight from the barrel to the bottle.
Hand in hand with the development of rum in Barbados came the birth of the rum shop.
Well, the rum shop is the most ancient institution in Barbados, as ancient as the church. And in fact, if you go around Barbados, you'll find that wherever you see a church, you'll see a rum shop, usually in close proximity. But they began early in the 17th century in Bridgetown in what were called tippling houses, which were taverns. But the rum shop as we know it today really arose much later in the 19th century after emancipation, when a lot of villages around Barbados grew up on marginal lands of the plantations or on plantations being subdivided and sold off when sugar prices dropped in the late 19th century. And then particularly in the first 2 or 3 decades of the 20th century, when all the immigrants who had gone to Panama sent back home millions of dollars, and people were able to buy land and so on. So these villages like Cave Hill, Rock Hall, Workman's and so on, they grew up, and the central institution in these villages was the rum shop, because the rum shop was the center of the community. It was usually at the crossroads or at the very entrance of the village. And it sold both groceries, a little hardware, pharmaceutical items, and then at the side they had a bar where while the women were doing the shopping, the men would sit in the bar and have a drink.
Many of the modern-day village rum shops have evolved into eating establishments, but some still continue to sell primarily alcoholic beverages and dry goods. One such place is Jenny's, situated just outside of the capital, Bridgetown.
Well, you know, the shop is like 100 years old, but I've only been here 9 years now. Rum is still a big seller. Lots of tourists comes in and they want to know what's the best rum. So although we have a competition with beer, so you know now we're getting beer 4 for $10, rum is still big. And the most enjoyable time is interacting with customers. Every day don't be the same, but you laugh. You come to work, you laugh, you meet different people, different attitude. It's lovely having a rum shop.
I've been coming to Jenny's bar for 9 years. Oh, Jenny is a very nice person, and you know, I interact with a lot of people who come into the shop. Oh, my favorite drink is Old Brigham One Eye Rum, the One Eye Man rum. I enjoy the rum because it's a relaxing drink, not to get drunk, but just to sip it and relax.
This enjoyment of rum can also be seen during Barbados' annual Crop-Over Festival, a carnival-like event which celebrates the end of each year's sugarcane harvest. On the final day of Crop-Over, revelers take to the streets, dancing behind massive music trucks. And during this celebration, it is clear what the drink of choice is for many.
Yeah, doing Crop-Over rum is always a favorite. It makes you feel good, enjoy the music more, the vibes. It just gets to your head and make you feel good.
Barbados is the birthplace of rum, so what better to drink than rum in Barbados for Crop-Over? There's nothing better.
Currently, the Barbadian sugar industry is in a crisis. Once majestic sugar factories are now dilapidated structures. But while sugar production is declining, rum production is increasing.
Our method of producing rum has remained the same for the last 300 years, and that has ensured consistency of product over time and space.
The other thing with rum is that we have the capacity already here to sell more and more very high-end rums. If we wanted to, say, for example, double our tourism revenue, we'd have to invest still tremendous amounts of money into hotel infrastructure or airport or seaport infrastructure. The beauty of rum is we are very much poised to double or treble our foreign exchange earnings from rum. Therefore, rum has a very special role to play in the success of the Barbados economy in the next 10, 15 years.
Everybody planning for the Christmas day. Listen, lazy gal, what I got to say. You talk about getting 20 pounds of meat, and when the day gone, what the heck we gonna do? I don't give another Christmas gun. I don't give a damn if Santa Claus comes. My gallon of rum, man, my gallon of rum. All I want is my gallon of rum. I ain't got no oven and things like that. I don't want pork cause I don't eat fat. I find a pepper sauce and a 10-pound ham, and I'm washing it down with me gallon of rum. I don't care if another Christmas comes. I don't give a damn if Santa Claus comes. My gallon of rum, my gallon of rum. All I want